Welcome, lovely one, to the Meant for More podcast. My name's Lisa Clifford, and I am building the world's most empowering Meant for More movement, leading millions of heart-led purpose seekers from feeling insignificant to invincible. So I truly hope you enjoy this next episode. And our next guest is Kelly Tamplin, who is a confidence trainer, speaker, coach, and firewalking and empowerment instructor. She loves helping people be able to present their stories, their mission, their purpose on stages. And she has run over 700 workshops to women's groups and charities. She is an all-round good egg. She is a breath of fresh air, and she is a bright, shining star. So please welcome Kelly. Let's kick off with a time in your life when you felt like you knew you were meant for more.
Yeah.
What it felt like to feel the feeling and have the thought, and what did you do with it?
Oh, do you know what, Lisa? For me, it starts quite dark, like in that space. So for me, the moment that I remember that I was like, I've got to be made for more than this. This has all got to be for something, right? It was when I was 19, and I was starting my first day at Lloyd's Banking Group, and I was a contractor at the time for them. And I just had a couple of months off, and I got to this train platform, and I was depressed, as in from the age of about 12 to 13, like my life took a really dark turn. And for those years, I was just in survival mode and fight mode, like consistently not knowing what was coming, where I was, what I was doing. So when I got to 19 and I'm on this train platform, I remember the first train come in, and the doors opened, and for whatever reason, Lisa, I just could not get on that train. And I was just looked at the people, and I just had to step back, and I was like, I can't do this. And I let the train go. The next one came, doors opened. I was like, I can't do this. Step back. Third one came, and the same thing. And I remember slumping down on this train platform, and it was like early November, so it was freezing cold. You know when you got like the frost on the grass, and it's like you could see your breath. I could see this park in front of me, and it was like frosty. I could see my breath. I was really shaking because I was, panicking. I was full of anxiety, and I'd been sick everywhere on myself. I was like full on having a full blown mental breakdown on this platform. Suicidal thoughts about, why am I here? Why don't I just end it here, and I don't have to go through this life that I'm going through right now? But in that specific moment, although it was a tough moment, I also had this other part of me that was like, but you can't just be for this. Your whole life to this point can't just be for you to just give it all up. Like, you've gone through all of this stuff you've gone through for a reason. Like, you are made for more than what this life has given you. And it was almost like a power struggle for the feeling the feeling was almost like there was this part of me that was like, why are you here? Just leave it. And this other part of me was trying to fight for me to be like, you just keep going. You've got this. Like, something beautiful is going to come out of these experiences that you're going through. So that was it for me. That was a moment which was like, what I need to do is like, I need to take this experience, like these experiences that I've gone through, and I need to completely shift myself through them.
That's big. That's big to have all of those thoughts and those awarenesses about your current thinking and a knowing.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of components there, isn't there? There's having the thought, but then them just being who you are. Then there's the awareness of questioning them. I've got to have gone through all of this for a reason. And then the lack of the decision not to take the action, the choice that was in front of you. That's massive. What did you then do? Did you get on a train?
No, I didn't actually. It was what you were saying there about that knowing. It was almost like, I know people talk about like things higher than themselves, like you're always guided by something higher. And I genuinely, to this day, believe that I was guided by something higher in that moment, because I was stood there trying to get on the train. I'd slumped back. I had, been sick all over myself and freezing cold, crying my eyes out. And then all of a sudden, my dad texts me and he's like, "Oh, you didn't seem yourself this morning. Like, just keep smiling."
Yeah.
And balling, absolutely more balling than I was before. And I was like, I need you to come pick me up, like now. So he actually picked me up, and I started my first day at Lloyd's Banking Group, having had that morning. And I remember he sat outside in the car, waited for me to go in. And I'm in this training room about an hour later, and I'm like, if only all of you knew what kind of morning I just had. And I'm sat there with the mask on, Lise, as we do, like, "Hi everyone, I'm Kelly." Hey. And it's the most like the worst morning of my entire life, you know?
And yet, what seemed like a monumental spotlight on it as well, that kind
Mm,
of uh, reckoning with yourself of a catalyst in some way, because you remember it like it's been underlined in your life as a moment of choice and change. Um, there's a couple of things I want to ask about.
yeah.
Just share with everybody. I have off air done your introduction, but just share with everybody what you now do in the world. I say that with a sigh of just such, my heart kind of relaxes knowing that you're going out in the world doing this beautiful work you do.
Thank you. Yeah. So now I'm a confidence speaker and coach. So I've, over the last couple of years, helped thousands of women build their confidence and self-esteem and feel unstoppable, go out in the world. So I also have been the director of a global leadership academy as well. So I've helped vulnerable and disadvantaged women and girls. Many of them have been in those types of positions like I was. Some of them even worse positions, even worse lives at that point. And I've built this academy which they build their confidence, their leadership skills, so they can become financially independent. So that has been one of my proudest legacies, I guess, over the last couple of years that I've been building. But yeah, also this confidence work, going out there, delivering these unstoppable confidence workshops has been my joy, my absolute passion. And it's now I see why I went through all of that, because only I could talk about the experiences that I've had and go out there and be like, guys, I know exactly where you've been. I've been there. I've had no confidence. And now I'm in a position where, I've spoken on stages around the world. I've delivered over 700 workshops and talks. Like, if I can do this, you absolutely can do this too. So yeah, I've had a beautiful challenging journey over the last decade, I would say, with that. But it's also been like, I just love this stuff, Lisa. I love what we get to do here so much.
And just share what it is, because you say, you get to help women and vulnerable women and people all around the world be unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? Because it's you do it in a really powerful experiential way that leaves people in no doubt as to who they are. Just share a little bit about how you do it.
Yeah. So for me, I'm not just the speaker that'll come in and be like, "Do you know what? We just need to be confident in the room, guys." For me, it's about challenging people to that core whilst they're in front of me and being like, let's just not go over the fluffy stuff. Like, let's get right into it. And
Yeah.
let's actually put you into a space where you have to put this into action. I don't want to inspire you. I want you to be embodying confidence. I want you to embody everything that you know that you can be. So I do that through board breaking, arrow breaking, glass walking, fire walking. Lisa was my beautiful instructor for that. And for me, it's always been like that. It's never about just let's talk to you and tell you how to change. It's like, let's tell you how to change, then let's put that into action and let's see you do it. So
Yeah.
my workshops are full of these experiential kind of, is that the word, experiential?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ex-
Experiential.
experiential.
Experiential. Experiential sounds a little bit between an experiment
Yeah.
and experiential, which is true, isn't it? Because we're all experimenting on ourselves all the time. What am I capable of? Let's experiment with
Mm,
seeing with this board break. So I think
yeah.
you were onto something with experiential.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so too,
I think we can make it work. We wove it in. Um, and what I love about you, and I remember talking to you when I was in Shanghai airport,
Mm,
and it was so loud in the background. But what I had this overwhelming in my background, I was having something to eat. There was a lot of people, but what I felt from you was your heart. And for me, when I deliver the training that you've just mentioned, it's so important for me that the people in the circle are heart led, because the work that you then have the honor and privilege of doing, whether it's the experiential work that we've done together
mm,
or the other stuff that you do, it's so important to me that people are that come from the heart, because when you're working with people, whether they're vulnerable or whether they're vulnerable in their trusting themselves and their lack of confidence in the moment, whatever state they're in, that they're held from the heart, not just in a transactional process. And that's what absolutely drew me to, because I could feel that the work that you do moves through your heart to them. And that's why people trust you and work with you, and you get such great results. It
thank,
can't be from the head, can it?
thank you.
Solely from the head.
No, absolutely not. And I think one of the biggest things, and you probably noticed this being in the speaking industry as well, you can find a lot of speakers are all about themselves. It's all about this. Like, I know it's about storytelling and being on stage and, being who you are. I totally get that. But I think for
Mm.
me, it's always my stories helped me teach people, but it's never been about me. When I'm
Yeah.
in my workshops, it's never ever about me. It's about the women
Mm.
and girls in front of me, or the men, because I've brought men in now. Men, you can come into. Everyone needs confidence, right? But it's all about their process, their thoughts, their feelings, and their moment of breakthrough as well. And I think that's one of the biggest things over the years that I've realized. It was almost, I just want to get on stages, versus now I'm just like, no, do you know what? I just need to be in front of, even if it's just that one person that has the transformation that they need, or that breakthrough that they need in this session. Like, that is what I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this is what I love so much about your training as well, because I think before I met you, Lisa, I had been influenced by so many different speakers that I'd seen, like, and I was out there doing it in my own way. And when I met you, you were very much, everything that you do is so intentional. It's so heart led, and it's so beautiful. And watching you train and being part of that training and realizing, whoa, like I could bring so much more of this to my
Oh, you
stuff
give me
as well.
goosebumps.
And it was lovely, because it was almost like you gave me permission to bring that part of me to my
To be
workshops as well.
yourself.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
be yourself, yeah.
I'd felt like I was almost in this space of thinking about the audience, but almost like a performance sometimes,
Yeah,
which I
I
think
get
is, I hold my hands up. Sometimes it is like that, when I was like, right, okay, let's break some boards. But these days I'm so much more grounded in what I'm delivering. And yeah, it's everything that I do is intentional. And I've learned that from you. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I mean, we always need someone, don't we? For me, it was Peggy Dillon, and all that I have done is brought to you
Mm,
her. And I wish I could take the credit for it, because that changed me as well. But,
Yeah.
you know, I was just, well, I wish I was just like you. When I was speaking, for me, I've got to be like these other speakers because being me isn't going to cut the mustard. Um, and that it was when you think about being like other people, and I'm sure this will be helpful for people listening right now. When you think about being like other people, there's an abandonment of yourself, isn't there? And if you
Mm,
abandon yourself, you also abandon the essence of who you are. That's the real influence, is your essence. The essence of who you are. You abandon your confidence, your courage, and you have to be completely in fake it mode, which
mm,
people don't buy into that.
no.
They can see it, they can feel it, but when you are intentional and truly yourself, people feel a stirring in them that pulls them, I feel. And I think on the training, witnessing you on the training, there was every single session and I mean, they're long days, but you
But
were
they're fun
always,
days.
yeah, they were great, weren't they? Did you say they were
They were
birthdays
fun days.
or fun days?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I also think the birthdays, every day there was a
Mm.
birthday, wasn't there, of another layer coming off and another reveal of what's underneath it. But what I saw in you was the care of yourself and the responsibility of yourself that you brought to every session. And I think that was just so beautiful to witness, because I think so often that people come to training courses and abandon their own responsibility and think, right, well, it's over to you for me to learn. But I kept seeing you show up, and I kept seeing layers move to the side to allow this blossoming to step forward. And the you at the end of the training was like, I am ready. You had taken such responsibility. And I think that's a real gift that you give to the world, is that truth of who you are, which takes me to something that I've written down that you said right at the beginning, which was about the mask. We put the mask on, don't we, Lisa? We do. We put the mask on. And I've got so many questions around the mask that I think everybody does,
Mm.
until we reach a point where we think, I can't carry that mask. My arms are not strong enough to hold the mask up anymore. And they drop the mask and they are completely accepted. My tummy just did a big rumble like it wanted in front of you. And they realize they're completely accepted without the mask. So tell me about how the mask was for you.
Yeah.
And a question I wrote down was, who is the mask for?
Oh, that's a good question.
Let me take a big
Oh.
sip of my gin.
You know, in the beginning, I would say the mask for me, to be honest, even working with the amount of women and girls I've worked with at this point, I see it now so clearly. Like in the beginning for me, putting the mask on was survival. It
Yeah.
was, I absolutely don't know how to deal with what I'm dealing with. And I'm just going to put this smiley face on, and I'm going to go out in the world, and I'm going to live the life that I feel like I want to have, even if underneath all of it, I'm like trying to keep up, you know? And
Mm.
for years I had that mask on, and it was crazy, Lise, because I used to have people say like, you are the most positive person I've ever met, you're the most smiley person I've ever met, and I'd be like, you have no idea what I go home to, you have no
Yeah.
idea the experiences that I go through, like on the regular. So I got so good at
And
wearing the mask.
can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
When you said the experiences you go home to, do you mean the you go home to, or something that was happening at home?
It was something that was happening at home.
Right.
Yeah, it was a
Right.
long process of certain things that went on. Um, but it was also the me that I went home to, because, you
Yeah.
know, I could be happy in front of everyone else, but as soon as I went home, I was, you know, mentally beating myself up. I was not talking to myself nicely. I was doing things that I just knew weren't good for me, but I was just doing it out of survival.
Yeah.
And I think I see that a lot in people. It's easier to put the mask on when you're in survival than it is to just take it off and just go, do you know what, guys? I'm really, really struggling and I
Yeah.
need your help and I need your support. So that's what I would say the mask was for me.
And can
What
I
was,
just ask another question about the
yeah.
mask? Because I think your answers are helping other people reflect on themselves as well. So that response that you would get from people, you are the happiest, most positive person I know. Did you feel an obligation then to them to keep being it? And also, a separate question: did you feel that you liked that identity? Was there some sort of buy-in into the identity of those comments, or did you feel it was a weight around your
Uh,
ankles?
I would say it always felt like a weight because I always didn't feel like I was being myself
Yeah, or being seen
or being
because you
seen.
weren't.
Yeah,
Mm,
definitely. And I would say that I, it was nice to hear like you're the most positive person, you're smiley and happy because I was just like, well, at least at some point in my day, I'm living that, even if I
yeah,
don't feel it, I'm partly living it. So that's good, I guess. But
yeah,
it's not good. It's one of those things that if you have the mask on for so long, you really forget who you are.
yeah,
And it's quite sad. It makes me emotional, actually. It's quite sad,
yeah,
really, when you get to that point where it's just like you don't really know who you are with the mask off. And
yeah,
it's almost like you build up the fear in yourself then because it's like, whoa, if I take this mask off and show the world who I really am I ever going to be accepted for that? So it's
yeah,
safer for me to put it on and just go out in the world as I've been doing. But it almost becomes like a performance,
yeah.
you know?
Which your nervous system feels the strain of, doesn't it?
Mm,
This efforting that you have to do in order to be yourself, because the risk of people seeing who you truly are, which underneath it all, I mean, I totally identify with everything that you're saying. Um, for me, rather than me keep projecting this onto you, for me, the risk of people seeing who I truly was too much of a risk. I'd
mm,
been told by my stepmom that I was worthless. Nobody likes you. You're ugly. Your fingers are a mess. You're overweight. Your
mm,
personality is horrible all the time. And I thought, oh, if I take the mask off, people will see that.
yeah,
Her voice was in my head, and I was doing everything I could so nobody saw the real me, because that was my belief of who I was. But it wasn't who I was. It was
no,
who she was.
yeah, exactly.
So I think there is that kind of, and when you do get witnessed, when somebody does see you,
Mm,
when you're not carrying the mask and you are being yourself in an environment where there is no space to be anything other than yourself, and you're accepted, it's such a healing experience, isn't it?
uh,
Tell me more about that for you.
yeah, well, I think, do you know what? One of my superpowers now, to be honest, Lisa, is that I can see straight through people's masks. Like when I've got those women and girls in front of me, or like even like the men around me as well, when I can just spot it, I'm just like, I just know right now you're not being who I know you are. And this is what I create in my workshops. It's a space to take that mask off and fully be seen for who you are and fully
Mm,
accepted for who you are. Because I don't think the world gives you that space sometimes. And as you said, like sometimes if the world did give you that space, depending on who you took it off in front of, people are going to judge you for it. And it's really, again, like all the things that you go through in life, you then later on understand why you went through it. And the reason I spent so long in survival mode, the reason I had that mask on for so long of my life is because now I can see it in people. And I don't want people coming to my workshops with their mask on.
yeah,
One thing I say when they're in it, like first thing I do is like take your mask off first, like show us who you really are, so that we can really get into this session and really transform you from like the inside, not just coming out of this session going, yeah, that was great, I loved it, I feel so confident. If you're coming out of my session like that, I almost don't want it. I want you coming out feeling like, Cal, I feel so grounded in myself and I feel
Yeah.
so much more confident. There's such a difference in that. And I love getting people to take their masks off. It's lovely to see, and it's lovely to witness as well. And it's an honor to witness people doing that in front of you as well, because it's you feel safe enough to do it. So for me, it's a beautiful thing when people get there.
The mask is such a barrier, isn't it? It's
Mm.
what we're craving is to be seen and connected with. And yet the mask that we think will persuade people to like us is such a barrier
Yeah,
to us living in truth. Do you
yeah.
know a clip that I've seen just keeps coming into my mind of Susan Sarandon in this movie, but it was a short clip that I saw, and she's speaking to a lawyer at a bar, and she's I think she's getting divorced, but she says to him, "What do you think marriage is about?" And he says, "About companionship." And she said, "No, it's to have somebody in your life that witnesses your life."
Mm.
And that really landed with me of course.
Yeah,
We want to be witnessed, don't we? Which is why we ring friends up and say, "Guess what I've done?" Because we
yeah,
want our moments to be held, to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be shared. And
yeah,
so, yeah, the being witnessed is, and that's when people get on the stage and they
yeah,
speak in some way. They want to be witnessed, as well as they're there to make a difference and an impact. Not everybody's on the stage speaking for that reason. They simply just want to be witnessed. But
yeah,
but if you can take your journey in the way that you have, I kind of see our childhood and then our early 20s has been a university of life.
mm.
Right.
Yes.
I saw Wayne Dyer, a little clip of Wayne Dyer, and he said that, imagine that you are having a conversation with God before you're born, and God says, "Right, what's your mission?" And Wayne Dyer says, "Well, I want to help people be self-reliant." And God said, "And what else?" And he said, "That's it. I just want humanity to be self-reliant." And he went, "Okay, we're going to get your crazy ass into an orphanage." Off you go. And there was another clip that I saw the other day of somebody sat on a cloud talking to God and looking through the script of their life, and it's like, but why?
Yeah.
Why? I was like, oh, that's why. And
Yeah.
so, but it takes a lot of courage to shift your perspective from being a
Mm.
victim to life to it
Yeah.
actually being our learning ground, so that we can make it into a potency to help other people.
Yeah.
Does is that how you see your life?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, okay, God, I got this one. You said this one to me for a reason. Okay, let's go. But yeah, I think well, something I wanted to share as well, Lisa, on that, and it's from your training, which is so funny. And I don't know if you remember this, you would have remembered this moment. So in Lisa's training, guys, we also do rebar bending, right? And for me, I've done board breaking for a long time now. So doing those kinds of transformations, I'm almost, it doesn't get to me as much. Like, and if you've done it the first time, it's like, oh, amazing. But after a while, it's like you've done it enough times where it's not as impactful on you. But I'd never bent rebar with my neck, right? And I'm at Lisa's training, and I'm doing it with Jeffrey, and Jeffrey's on the other side of me. And I was terrified of this because I'd never done it before, guys. And it was so like, whoa. And I remember standing there looking at Jeffrey in front of me with this rebar, and we went to go bend it. And again, my brain's going, what are you doing? This is so scary. Like, what is happening? And we did it. And I was like, what? And I wanted to burst out crying. And I remember it was again a moment where I could have just, you know, gone, okay, cool. But I needed to be witnessed in that moment. So I remember turning around to you guys and saying, like, guys, I felt really scared in the circle after. It's like, guys, I felt really scared doing that. And they were like, what? You look so confident. You look so confident. And then Lisa broke me because I literally, something changed in that moment where I was like, guys, I was scared and I just couldn't stop crying, if you remember. Like
Well,
something
it
in
was
me.
such a special moment.
Mm, yeah, even for me, because I'd never in a group of people like that just sobbed. But I was like, I can either sit here and just pretend and suck it up and pretend I'm okay and like, yeah, I'm brave, I just did that. Or I can let people really witness the emotions and the experiences that I'm going through right now. And for me, that was also, it was brave to do the rebar, but it was also brave of me to actually admit that to you guys and just sob in front of all of you and go, I'm not okay right now. But I am, but I'm not.
Do you remember
So
what
yeah.
happened immediately with that? Because I remember I'm reliving it with you. I've got the
Yeah.
photograph because we try and take photographs so that it anchors in the moment of breakthrough, of knowing, but without it being intrusive.
Mm,
But what happened in that moment was you gave everybody else permission to have a release,
mm,
a relief in their release as well, because we then put on some music and we stopped bending bars for a second and we were just with the moment of what was happening, whatever word. I can't think of the words. I don't think we need the words, but there was something happening collectively through your openness, you voicing it. You gave everybody else permission to connect with that truth within them as well. And we
mm.
were all crying.
Yeah. It was a big day.
And so often, I don't know if Mel and Gintari were yet to go,
Mm.
but we stopped. I think they were yet to go.
No, think actually, no, I think I've said that wrong. They actually went next after us. And in that moment when they were going, I was almost like keeping it in and being like, you've got this. But I think it was also witnessing Mel and Gantare do that and
There was
seeing the
an
struggle.
amplification. Yeah.
Yeah, seeing the struggle and being like, whoa, like I just did that too. And
Yeah.
then seeing them break down and then like we all like hugged. And then it was when we were in the circle afterwards, I was just like, guys, I'm not okay right now. I know I went before all of you lot, but actually I'm not okay. But yeah, it's a beautiful, and that's what I find with you know, in the workshops that I do and deliver and just in life as well. It's giving people permission. It's giving people permission to be themselves, you know? Like the more authentic that you show up in life and the more you just completely own every single part of you, the people around you have no choice but to just own themselves too and just to show up in that space exactly who they are because they feel the safeness of it, you know, and sometimes you just need to go first.
Absolutely. And in that moment, uh, other people felt safe to unlock or release and to be honest about the courage it takes. The
Mm.
courage it takes to do that, Reba. It's my favorite
Oh,
exercise.
it's amazing.
It's absolutely my favorite exercise out of all of them, because it really gets people's attention and our
Yeah.
focus. Because it isn't, I get 10 millimeter
Mm,
rebar. It isn't possible just to bend it by force. I've done it with the army. So
mm,
I know it takes that inner alignment that requires the monkey mind, the chatter mind, to go and sit on the timeout benches because there isn't the space for them and this focus. And it gives the body and the mind an opportunity to know what it's like to have such powerful intention and focus and move with it. And it's moving with your inner truth. And so and then that thing that you've just said, it's so powerful as well, that you did it, but it wasn't until you saw Mel and Gintari do it that you realized what you'd just done and the power of it. and
Mm.
what it took. And I think I saw layers coming off everybody in that moment.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Jeffrey, holding it together,
Yeah.
um, looking quite masterful, holding it together. But he was moved.
Mm.
That was one of my favorite moments in all the training, when everybody just went round, saw each other, and hugged each other.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
You
getting
can't
goosebumps
script that.
now.
I know that I'm reliving it. I can say
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the video on the screen at this point so people can relive it with us, because
Yeah.
so often we think these exercises about proving and showing up how powerful you are, but actually, empowerment for me, actually, let's forget what I think. What is empowerment for you?
Wow. Before I answer that, Lise, I think one of the things I do want to share based on that, though, is also since doing that training, as I said, like I did board breaking before, but I hadn't done arrow breaking, hadn't done the glass walk or the fire walk, or the rebar. But something that's completely shifted in me as well since then, and since delivering the workshop since, is, and I'd never noticed it in my workshops before until this point, is that it's that moment of courage that we as those facilitators get to witness in people when they step up to do the boards. Oh, it makes me emotional. When they step up to do the boards or the arrows or whatever it is they've got in front of them, and no one else in the audience gets to see it, right? Because they're just looking at the whole spectacle, where it's like you are just there in that moment with that person, and you can see it in their face, the thoughts that are going around in their head, that just moment of courage of like, I'm absolutely terrified, but I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna do it. And that's one of the things that since your training that I've witnessed in so many people. And I'm so grateful for now being able to witness that in that way, because it reminds me every time that someone steps up to do this, that like this is why I'm doing it. Because for right now in this moment, you're not just listening to my words, you're not listening to anything else. Like right now it's between you and the exercise that you got in front of you, and the confidence is going to come once you've done it, right? But it's that small moment of courage that it takes to be confident in the first place, because you've got to step up and do it. So I think for me with empowerment, it's a moment of courage to, I think with all of it, it's a moment of courage to take your mask off. It's a moment of courage to be confident. It's a moment of courage to, you know, own every part of you and let other
Mm,
people into that. And
mm,
I think when you get to that space of empowerment, and not the kind of rah rah, like, I'm empowered, I feel amazing. That
yeah.
empowerment of like, I'm so unshakable in who I
Mm,
am right now.
mm,
That for me is empowerment. It's how can you become so unshakable in yourself
mm,
that
mm,
nothing outside of you, any circumstances that come to you, it's this is all happening for me, not to me. And this is guided by a higher power. I'm supposed to be going through this moment right now. And I know right now with myself that I'm going to be able to do anything that I set my mind to.
mm,
I think for
mm,
me, that's empowerment.
mm. Nice, nice. I think as well it's that trusting yourself, that
Mm,
whatever happens, I am going to be okay, isn't it? It's that, and I
yeah.
think when you speak about that moment of, Peggy calls it, the life offers us a square centimetre chance of opportunity. If we have the courage to grab it, our lives can be transformed in an instant. And that is in that moment that you've just mentioned, when
Mm,
people are sat in the seats, they've got the opportunity of stepping up, and they take it. That they're initially rising out of their seat, or if they're already stood up, that step forward that means I'm in the motion, and now I've just got to be with what I'm electing myself for, consciously or unconsciously. And that's where you have to kind of know what that feels like inside you and grab it. You kind
mm.
of think, oh God, I'm going, and just keep moving with it, to trust that initial movement where your body votes for you, your brain then, as you said, what am
Yeah.
I doing?
Yeah.
This is crazy. This doesn't make sense. I don't need to
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
When the brain tries to say, get back in your seat, what are you
Yeah.
thinking? Sit back over there. I can keep you safe if you're in that seat. But if you go over there, we have never done this before. You are on your own. All right, you're doing it.
Yeah.
I think all that goes on in the mind. Get back down in that seat. I told you
Yeah.
to sit down. I'm
Yeah.
going to glue your
100%.
feet to the floor. You're like, oh no, you're moving. And there is that kind of two-way conversation that goes on. And it's making sure the voice, or not even the voice, but the body's knowing, which can feel
Mhm.
ancestral, can't it? It can feel like I know what's best for you. In your unconscious mind, there's a part of you that's going to get healed from this. You
Yeah.
may know it, you may not know it. And so, and that privilege that you speak of is exactly why I love training you and being in circle with you. It's not just the training you, in our circles, we're each other's teachers.
Mm.
And, you were symbiotically teaching, and that look in somebody's eye when they step up and you think, I got you. Just stick with this thread. I can see you doing it. Stick with the thread. I've got you. I know what you're thinking, or I know the kind of thought. But if you just stick with this and keep moving, you're going to have a breakthrough that you will never forget. I
Mm.
can just, so
God.
anybody, we're going to, I know.
Goosebumps.
I've seen too many videos of people just simply going through, who wants to break the arrow, who wants to do this, who's next, yeah, sit down. And there's chaos going around and there's no kind of holding space. But I know that's not the case at yours. I mean, this happens at other people's trainings, not mine, and not people I've trained, because I'm really selective or really careful that people know that this is a heart exchange above anything else. So, do you know, I want you to share something that's just come to mind.
Go on.
One of the things is in empowerment training, people always think that they have to make it easy for people. And I know we had a talk about, a little exchange about that. But then you left me a voice note one day about one of your trainings that I just wish I'd been there. And if you get the chance, go to Kelly's trainings. We're going to talk about them at the end, but go. But you were sharing about the board break, and I talk about non-rescue facilitation, because otherwise how can it be empowerment if somebody's been pulled to do it? They have to like bring themselves to do something. Do you remember you called it a medicine moment?
Yeah, 100%. Because I think before I'd got to your training, I was very much like, I've got to think about everyone in my workshop. I don't want them to feel uncomfortable at points. So what if they don't break the board? I need to tell them what happens if they don't break the board even before they get there. And it was in your training, I remember having that conversation with you where it's just like, because you were just like, that's not your responsibility, almost like their breakthrough. Like, you've got to be comfortable in an uncomfortable space with someone's breakthrough, because that's part of their experience. And I remember it being like, oh yeah, like I've never thought about it like that, but of course. And I went on to do a training with 40 amazing women. I literally think it was about a month later, and a young lady stepped up to do a board break, and she stepped up to break it, and it didn't break the first time. And I felt so comfortable in that moment, being like, do you know what? This is a beautiful space for this lady to be in. Which I'd be like, right, okay, this is new, cool. And so we tried it again. She didn't do it. And I was like, do you know what? To keep the energy of the room up, go back to the audience and I'll bring you back up at the end. But this is a beautiful teaching moment. So thank you. And we went on, we did other board breaks. And then I brought her back and I was like, right, you've got this. Do you want to try this again? She was like, yeah, let's do it again. So she tries it one more time and she fails it, right? Or it just didn't go, it didn't break. And I remember in the moment going, right, okay, we've tried it 3 times. It hasn't gone, like, I know how she's feeling now. But this woman was like, there was something in her, what we were saying earlier about that split voice. There was like, I could give up right now and sit back down, or I need to do this and I'm not going to stop until I've done this. So we changed the way that we broke the board, as in like I put it down in a different space. and it was going like downwards. So she tried it again. Lise, it didn't work. And at this point, like, you know, most people would be ready to give up. And I was like, do you know what? What do you want to do? And I was also at this point obviously saying to the audience, like, this is a beautiful teacher moment, because there's not one way to do something. You know, like, we always fixate on, oh, I've got it wrong, I got it wrong. But the fact that you keep coming up, you are inspiring this audience in ways that you have no idea about. And I got the audience to share some of the ways that she was inspiring them. And
Oh,
it really
lovely.
got her pumped again. She was like, right. She was like, do you know what? Can I share with you guys before I move forward? I've always had this belief. I was always been told since I was a young girl that I was weak.
Hmm.
And every time I come to step, like to break the board, that belief keeps coming into my head. And again, we all witnessed her. We all like, do you know what? This is so beautiful. And because we all knew that information then, oh, the energy in the room just took it up a notch. We were like, you are not weak. You have got this. And so we went to break the board again, and it didn't happen, right? And again, we're like, what? And she's like, one more time, guys, I have got this. Like, by this point, she was fighting for this new story in her. And it was so beautiful, because the last time we did it, guys, she breaks that board and the whole place erupts in just like craziness I've never experienced in my life. I erupt, she erupts, everyone's crying. We're just like, this is the most beautiful thing that we've ever witnessed. It's the most beautiful transformation I've ever witnessed, because it was incredible. Like, next level, watching someone fight for a new story. And it was absolutely beautiful. And it was such a medicine moment for me, because I realized that if I'd stopped that at an earlier space because I was uncomfortable, or, I let her know in the beginning, oh, if you don't break it, it's fine, we'll do it in a different way, that would have interrupted her breakthrough and her transformation.
Absolutely.
But letting her step up, this young lady step up and choose every time what she wanted to do and keep going. I think we did it about 5 times in the end, and on the 5th time she did it, it was, oh, not just for her, not just for me, but for the audience as well. It was one that we'll never ever forget. And even now, I keep getting DMs from some of the girls from that training, and they're like, "Remember that?" I'm like, "I know, it's in here."
What a gift. And I love, there's so much as a trainer and a sharer of this heart-led work. There's so much medicine in
Mm,
what you've just said for everybody on so many levels. First of all, it was a key concern for you that you wanted to make it accessible and easy and okay, but that's not what empowerment is, and that's not what creates transformation. It's what we do in the discomfort, not what we do in the ease. So you got to practice this new way of letting go. We're not trying to make it easy for everybody. You got to practice it, and you got to see what happens
mm,
when you demonstrate it. So you've now got this wonderful model of the most massive breakthrough happens not just for her, but for you and for the audience, and not the audience, the group, because the group were actively participating
yeah.
in holding space. So
Mm,
there's also that thing of when somebody else has a breakthrough, we all get a ripple effect of it for ourselves. We all get the learning. I mean, that must have been such a big message for that group, that everybody needed to see it so boldly, so that required our investment of energy. That must have been quite a common theme for that group of women, of how often do I not continue doing something, so not to take up space?
mm,
If I keep going at this, then people are going to get bored and wait,
yeah.
get bored of waiting, or that over consideration of, I don't want Kelly to feel like I'm letting her down. The stories.
Yeah.
So there's that side of things being healed within them by witnessing it. But then what I love that you've said a number of times in it, that she got to create a new story for herself. That
Mm,
that is such, you saying that is just so lovely, that we do carry stories. We do
mm,
carry stories that are not even ours. The stories that have been given to us, that we've just embodied, acted as though they're ours, proven them right. but there weren't even ours to hold in the first place.
Yeah.
So having a new story that actually is ours, that is hers, is such a gift. It's such a massive gift.
Yeah, yeah, it was beautiful. And I think years and years ago, I think it was Tony Robbins, I remember saying like people will fight for their stories. And I never really understood it until I started doing this work. And you realize that like, you know, people they want to hold on to them, you know, even if they're not serving them, they want to hold on to their stories. And I've had, you know, even recently I delivered a workshop and I had a young lady stand up and she was like, well, this is okay for you, but it's not for me. And it again, amazing teaching moment for the whole session, because it was like I worked with it, I brought her up the front, we worked together at the front, we literally broke down every single thing that she was saying. And she came into the workshop going, well, this is not for me, but I just got to be here, like, so yeah, whatever. And at the end she said, this has been the most transformational workshop I've ever been to, and you've changed my life. And I was like,
Whoa.
that is why I do this work. Because we can so and back when I was on that train platform, you know, back in many different spaces in my life, I could fight for the story that was keeping me stuck and say, well, things like this just don't happen for me because I've been here. And you know, and it was very much like almost I was a victim in that space. I was the things that I was going through. So it's really tough when you're in it as well to choose a different belief. But like throughout this journey that I've been on, it's just like I can either choose to stay stuck there, I can choose to think differently, you know. And just like that young lady breaking that board, it was like the fact that she shared that with us halfway through, that was beautiful. Because like you don't have full clarity on what people are thinking in those moments when they step up to do these exercises, but they're either fighting to keep their story or they're fighting for a new one. And I'm always
Oh,
about fighting for a new one.
I completely agree with you, and we're all work in progress. I remember
Yeah.
realizing that I'm single.
Hmm.
I didn't just realize I was single. I was I was completely aware of it. But I knew what was keeping me single was a story, and it was a story of, and I don't know that I'm completely free of the story either, which was I am self employed, live by myself, paying my own mortgage. And it was as though I wanted people to know that whatever you see of me, I've done it myself. It's not been from
Mm,
any inheritance, or not that I've got a lot, but that I that I've not been helped in some way. And then what I notice that I do, and less so, but I still do it, is I don't want people to think that I need them or that I'm leaning into them. And so I often don't ask for help. Or if I'm making friends with a man, I want him to know, oh, it's okay. I just want to be friends, because I don't want him to think that I'm going to take something, or that I
yeah.
want more than they want. And so there's that story that I have to keep paying attention to. It is okay to want something.
Mm,
You know, it's
yeah.
like it's and so, and I wonder, for anybody that's listening, what reality are you living in right now that isn't quite the way you want it, but what's the story that you tell yourself? Because we can adjust it, we can know it and we can adjust it, but there'll still be some remnants of that needs a little bit more work on it. So me not wanting people to feel like I'm taking anything from them. This week I started mentioning to people, if you know anybody that wants to come on a training, that'd be really lovely. But it's
Yeah.
taken me 20 years to ask people, do you know anybody that would like to come on the training? Because I've never wanted anybody to feel like I was taking something from them.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how our stories play out, and to create a new one can be quite liberating. But I
Yeah.
love that phrase of fighting for your story, because I absolutely fought for that story of being seen as being independent.
Mm.
But then it doesn't always work for us, does it? Is there a story that you've fought for that hasn't, that you know, I've been fighting for this story and I know, and you might be out of it, and I know it's not been helpful for me, but it was still important to me.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
great question. And yeah, and I think even just saying that about the stories, it's just like, it's oversimplified in the way it's like, just choose a different one. Like it does take consistently being on guard of like, right, that story's coming in again, but we're changing it. I think one of the biggest stories that's always been with me, that I sometimes even now I've got to just keep like, no, we're not there anymore. I've always I've almost because I've been so much in struggle for my entire life. It's like I've always had to fight for, a happier life, for, a building of my business, or this and this. And a couple of years ago, I was just like, I'm always struggling though. I'm always like, it's almost like I've put myself on a pedestal that when people ask me, well, I had to go through this and this just to get here, and it was
Hear
almost like a badge
you.
of honor to be like, well, you know, look how tough I am mentally and emotionally and all of this. And when I realized that, because the first part of that is just self-awareness, just knowing that that's what's happening. And every time I'd find myself in this little struggle mode, I would have to say, no, do you know what? We don't want to do this anymore. And even now, I'll do something, and maybe it's like a little bit hard work, and I'm like, oh, I had to work so hard. And I'm like, like, I can appreciate you put lots of work into it, but you didn't have to work so hard just to tell everyone about it, So yeah, I think that's one of my biggest stories. Is like I've come from a life of struggle, so everything's a struggle, and look how much I've achieved outside of that. And it's held me back for so many years, because then you search for the struggle, right, instead of searching for the joy and the happiness and the love. And yeah, and as I said, guys, I still sometimes find myself in that space. If I'm not looking after myself, if my mental health's not good, I will go straight back to that story and I will revel in it, and it'll be my comfort blanket. But it's making sure that I'm aware that's exactly where I'm going, and I'm going to fight for the new story, which is, everyone's got problems. I say this thing all the time to my friends, but it sounds a little bit like a contradiction, guys, but it's almost like I keep reminding myself, you're not that special. In the way that it's like with
Yeah.
love, you're not that special. You think you're the only person in this entire world that's gone through struggle like that, and like had to get to this point here. You're the only person. You're not. Every single human being on this planet has gone through struggle, and they've achieved the things they want to set out to achieve. They've found the beautiful relationships they want. They've got joyful lives. So it's almost like I have to keep reminding myself, it's just like, you're not on your own little journey here. So many other people have gone through sometimes worse than you, and they've created beautiful lives for themselves. And if they can do it, so can you. So right now in this moment, Cal, when I got on the struggle train, I'm not that special, which I know sounds crazy, but it really works for me, guys.
Yeah. And I think though sometimes as so if, as a speaker, we can often want a story of overcoming difficulty, and the stories come from our lived experience, don't they? And so I have to be as well, just saying going along with what you've just said, making sure when I go and do an adventure, that I don't have to have a disaster on it, so I've got a story for when
Yeah.
I get back.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what speakers speak about, is overcoming the odds and adversity, and but then we have to put ourselves through lived experiences of difficulty and fighting the odds, and it's almost giving yourself permission of, it's okay for me to not have a story, not to
Yeah,
come out of this with a story other than that was amazing. But
yeah.
there's almost like an equation and a condition. Well, in order to be a great speaker, I've got to live through something difficult. So life give me something to process. So I have a product to sell for the stage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that what I've started to do over the last couple of years is I've started to focus on the great stories that can also make a difference. Like that girl with the board breaking, that young lady. I also tell a story in my workshops. It's a really funny, positive one about I had this guy on it. I was delivering a workshop on a retreat, and part of my workshop, it's talking about not being confident versus confident. So I get as an icebreaker them to go around and introduce themselves in their normal state, and then come back and introduce themselves in their most confident state. And this guy comes up to me in the first aspect, and he's like, hi, my name's Anthony, and like, yeah, I do this, this, and this. And I was like, oh, great. And then I did this exercise. We came back to it, and I was like, right, guys, now you're going to introduce yourself as the most confident person in the room. And he just walks straight up to me, grabs on my hand. He's like, I'm that guy that you need to speak to right now. I'm Anthony. And it was just a completely different energy. And it was so beautiful. And I shared that and even everyone in the session like saw it, and it was just so funny. But again, it's just like, yeah, not everything that we share as speakers needs to be all doom and gloom. It's like, it's great to know, background, like where you've come from in that space. But also it's like, yeah, sometimes it's like, what are the beautiful stories or the transformations that other people have gone through that I can use to inspire the audience in front of me,
Lovely. And I will make sure all your details are in the comments so people can just click the link rather than have to get it off the screen. And if somebody wanted to work with you on a one-to-one basis, do you do that?
Yes, I do. So at the moment, I'm taking on 5 case studies at the moment, taking them through a process of confidence in public speaking. So at this point, I've done so much public speaking. I'm like, right, I've got loads of speakers wanting to come in and improve their confidence, get on stages and things like that. So I am looking for people to come in, get coached with me over a 12-month period, from creating their signature talk all the way through to getting paid on stage. So I do work with people one-to-one, and even with my own workshops, guys. I can't announce anything just yet, but just go follow me on socials, and my workshops will be out there for you guys to attend in person as well very soon.
Fantastic. And just in closing, what one bit of advice have you been given, or bit of wisdom have you been given that anchors you on a regular basis? I should have maybe told you I was going to ask that.
Oh, what bit of wisdom? One of the biggest things. Oh, there's 2. Can I give you 2?
I do. We're greedy on the Meant for More podcast.
I know. I'm gonna give you 2. Firstly, I never really understood this one until I live it, and it's stay in the present moment. When you are in the present moment, the stories disappear. The stories, you can choose in that moment what you need to believe and think about. But being in the present moment just gives you so much more joy and beauty from this life. And I think it's one of the biggest things I missed for a long time, because I was always thinking about the future. So that would be one of my biggst pieces
I
of
just want
wisdom.
to say as well, being in the present moment it feels liberating. You're completely free, and you're in full access of your truth, which is where all your answers need to come from. So I love that. Yes, what's the next one?
The next one is it's more for my speakers out there that are wanting to get on stages. But one of the biggest things for me, it's always think about that one person in your audience that you're speaking to, whether it's on a podcast, whether you're on stage, whether it's even social media. It's not about this is how many people I'm speaking in front of. It's the one person in that audience that you're speaking to that really needs to hear your message. And if you approach every single thing that you do like that, it's a game changer. And it's really about, sharing that knowledge with a past version of you, really. Like sometimes I even think about a past version of me being in that audience. But yeah, that's what it's all about. It's not about the big numbers and the big stages. Like, yeah, those things are beautiful, but even on a big stage, it's like, who's the one person that I can think about in this audience right now that really needs to hear this, that's going to transform them? And you show up so differently when you think about that.
Love it, darling. Thank you so much. We are definitely having another conversation in the future, because I feel like we've not nearly scratched the surface. It's been absolutely so yummy, and I can't wait to release the clips and I can't wait to release the podcast. Kelly, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to yours.
Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. Honestly, it's always lovely speaking to you, honestly. And yeah, I would love to come back. Have me back at any time.
Bye, lovely ones.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you would like to be involved in the Meant for More movement, then please drop me a line at lisa@lisaclifford.co.uk. Whether that's you're interested in being on the podcast, taking part in any of the trainings, or would just love to know how you can help empower others, then let's have a conversation. Thank you for listening, and we'll connect again very soon.